Hello, this is Mr. Ahmed Khalifa. This video deals with an important writing skill, which is the report writing. Let's together, without wasting time, see the question of the report writing that most probably appears in the exam. Your class recently went on a trip to a large recycling center. Your teacher has asked you to write a report on the trip. In your report, say what you learned from the trip and suggest how it could be improved if it is repeated next time. Most probably too, they will never ask you to write about a specific place. They might make it a bit open, like talk about a trip you have been recently to. Last time we talked about the recycling center, so let us change this. And let us go for, your teacher has asked you to write about your trip to the reclamation what center or reclamation site, okay? So let us write it down here. Your class recently went on a trip to, let us write it down, a land reclamation site. Okay, you know those people who reclaim the desert land or reclaim the land that's not planted and make it really suitable for plantation. Okay, let us write something together. Okay, so what we need to do here, that's very important before we leave the question. Very important here. We need to underline the lead words here. We need to underline the points that we should not ignore and overlook while we are writing our report. In your report, say what you learned from the trip. This is number one. Number two, and suggest how it could be improved if it is repeated next year. That's number two. So most probably we're going to have we're going to talk about our opinion about the trip, about what we learned as a whole class, and then we're going to go for some recommendations and some suggestions, like how it could be improved if it is repeated next time, okay, or next year. And you're going to see like some comments here, like the trip was too short. We didn't manage to visit every part of the site, maybe, okay. And this comes maybe at the end in the what ya shabab, in the suggestion and a recommendation. You got the point. Then here, it was great to see what new products can be made out of the things we throw away. Again, it could be in the conclusion, or I can include it simply in the body paragraph as a reflection of my opinion. Okay, fair enough. Let's go to this blank paper and let us write together what we should do here. As I told you, it's a visit to the reclamation site. It could be could be nearby where you live, or so you can give a title like this. Okay, let us maximize a bit. And a visit, wait a minute, a visit to the reclamation site. And let us be clear about it. Let us uppercase the main words. What are the main words here? Wait a minute. So we have got visit, as you can see here. We have got reclamation, and we have got what? Site. Okay, fair enough. Perfect. And then we're going to give what? Subheadings. The first subheading, it doesn't change. It is almost the same. we're going to go for what? For introduction. Okay? And in the introduction, I mean, like what? It's better to underline it. Do I need to add colon here? Up to you. It doesn't make a difference. And then we start writing the introduction. What do we include in the introduction? As I always say, you need to say, what is the purpose? You need to say, even if you want, you can say when. You can say who went on a trip, like together with the rest of your classroom, or just my classroom. It could be like the 10th graders went on that trip. And then you say, what is the purpose? If we didn't say that, I'm not sure whether I said it or no, but what is the purpose of what of that visit? Okay, that could be what included in the what in the introduction. So I simply can start this way. The question now, do I have to indent? Do I have to leave a space in the beginning of each body paragraph? I don't have to, as long as what? Because why do we indent? In order to make it clear for the examiner to know, like, these are kind of what separate paragraphs. So I don't have. I can start here, and I go for this report is intended to present what 10th graders learned from the visit to the land reclamation site. Okay, as well as to ascertain, to make sure, the ways to reduce. Somebody else will say minimize, that's fine. The negative, somebody else write the detrimental, and I think we've studied that word before, detrimental effects on nature, let us say this. That's a good what? That's a good introduction. It has what's the purpose, who went on that trip, and that's fine. Teacher, do we have to say, for example, last week? It's up to you. It's up to you. But again, this is introduction. You have what to tell the reader what you are talking about, and I think that's more than enough. Okay, even the length of the paragraph is more than enough. Let's go to another subheading. In the other subheading, it's up to you. You can write, for example, you can start with summary in a paragraph and findings in another paragraph. You can put them together. That's fine as well, okay? Or you can just name the subheading. You can say what? The reclamation visit, the real visit. I mean, you can improvise your own subheadings. That's fine, okay? And here I'm gonna just underline this as well, okay? In the body paragraphs, summary and findings, how many paragraphs? You can write up to 3 paragraphs, by the way, but 2 paragraphs for the sake of the length, because you don't have to exceed the lines provided for you. That would be more than enough. Let us write something like this. When you start the body paragraphs, think of what? Remember, think of the people there. Think of the one who is in charge of the place of the reclamation site, who met you and briefed or briefed you about the place, about You understand my point, right? Then talk about the workers, talk about the number of hours, give some figures and statistics that would be really good. Talk about the procedures. I mean, like what of how do they proceed their work? How do they do the work there? I mean, you still can do this. Okay, so let us start with this. We can say we arrived at the site. We arrived at the site while the work while the work was, let us say, ongoing. And okay, and let us write this. And we were shocked. We were shocked to see how the land is reclaimed. How the land is reclaimed. Okay, fair enough. What else? It was simply fascinating to find out that the sand taken from the ocean floor was piled on the reef, flat to enlarge the land service. Okay, that's one of the findings. Then we use some cohesive devices and we go for like what? Not to mention the fact that not to mention the fact that the machinery used let us say played a great role in achieving the project in the right time. Okay, this is one. And I think this paragraph length is fair enough. Then you can go for what? Another paragraph, and the other paragraph can start this way. Um, um, but there is something here that I feel could be added here. Um, um, Let us say it was also, it was also, it was also what? It was also, let us say, surprising for all of us, for all of us to learn that that workers workers that workers spend 14 hours a day let us say a day working, or you can say flattening the extracted sand. I know it's a big paragraph, but that's fine. Okay, what else? What else as summary or facts? We can write this one. Not, and remember this, notwithstanding, like although, notwithstanding the boons, like in spite of the benefits, the advantages, it was it was clearly saddening to see that some marine life now is in tatters. Let us say is threatened, if you want to say threatened, due to the lack of let us say or let us say due to let us erase this one, due to, and let us not be tough, due to the recklessness, somebody else will write due to the indifference of some workers, and that's a downside. And let us write this: if only those workers were more cautious, less damage would be caused to let us say, to nature. To nature. Okay, and I think that's fine. We don't have to write more than that. Okay, let us here go to the. So we are done now with what? With the introduction, with the summary findings, 2 paragraphs, and I think there is no space left. So what we need to do is just to go to the what? To the last subheading, which I can call suggestions and conclusion. I can go for like what? Suggestions and conclusions, so, or recommendations. So I can write here recommendations. You need to underline, okay? And then let us start writing a short, like a 4-line sort of recommendations. We can start this way: taking everything into consideration, I suggest that the workers, or that workers on site should be wait a minute, I use suggest here, so I can and please, if you still remember, in the previous video we talked about it, okay? So instead of should be, I'll go for only what? I'll go for only be. That I suggest that workers on site be more cautious, while driving their heavy machines across the reef and on land. Okay. Besides, it's high time. We, who are we? You can say what? 10th graders, to raise awareness towards this serious issue. And that's it. Simply, this is what could be a good report writing, okay? Let us read it together for the last time here. Here, as I told you before, I mean, title, you simply can underline the title. That's no problem, okay? And as I told you, in writing the title, we need to bear in mind these upper cases, okay? V here, and reclamation and site. That's very important, okay? You don't have to add a full stop here at the end. Okay, let us read together. A visit to the reclamation site. If you found a more attractive title, that would be great. But if you're running out of time in the exam, you don't have to think that much. Introduction. This report is intended to present what 10th graders learned from the visit to the land reclamation site, as well as to ascertain the ways to reduce the negative or detrimental effects on nature. Then, summary and findings. We arrived at the site while the work was ongoing, and we were shocked to see. Here, on the second thought, I can go for like what? But we were shocked to see how the land is reclaimed. It was simply fascinating to find out that the sand taken from the ocean floor was piled on the reef flat to enlarge the land surface, not to mention the fact that the machinery used played a great role in achieving the project in the right time. It was also surprising for all of us to learn that workers spend 14 hours a day working or flattening the extracted sand. Notwithstanding the boons, in spite of the benefits, it was clearly saddening to see that some marine life now is in tatters. Okay, I need to add what? S. Or threatened due to the recklessness or indifference of some workers. If only those workers were more cautious, less damage would be caused to what? To the environment. You can say what here? Simply to the environment. Then, lastly, we're going to go for recommendations. Taking everything into consideration, I suggest that workers on site be, why be? Because of what? Suggest more cautious while driving their heavy machinery or machines across the reef and on land or back on land. Besides, it's high time we 10th graders to raise awareness towards this what serious issue. Okay, thank you very much. Wish you every best of luck.